Good morning, everybody, and happy Friday. We're just going to give everyone a moment or two to get settled in case there's anyone else who's just having some issues joining into the conference here, and then we will get started with the presentation. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we just have a couple more people joining in right now, so we're just going to give them one more moment to get in, and then we'll get started with the presentation. Thank you for your patience. Okay, thank you everyone for your patience. Good morning and happy Friday. My name is Peter Walsh, and I am the IoT Practice Manager as well as a Senior Network Engineer here at IntegraOne. As you may already be aware, IntegraOne has been serving the region for over 2.5 decades, providing IT services to many local educational and healthcare entities, including network infrastructure, data center, security, voice over IP, and most recently, we've started up our Internet of Things practice, which is what I'm here to talk about today. We'll start by giving you a brief overview of where we are now and where we came from in terms of the network, and then we'll talk about how the sky is the limit when it comes to an IoT solution. After that, we will discuss some of the resources required and how IntegraOne can help you develop, plan for, and implement an IoT solution. At the end of the presentation, we'll be taking any questions that you have. So if you have any questions that come up throughout the presentation, please go ahead and post them into the questions window. We will take care of those at the end of the presentation. Just for a second, I would like you to think about where your networks have evolved from in the last few years. Not too long ago, most of our networks consisted of computers, printers, and the occasional IP phone deployment. Less than 15 years ago, YouTube didn't exist. Social media was a term that most people had never heard of. Smartphones, as we know them, were non-existent, and wireless networks were really just a novelty. What this meant was that the infrastructure of the past was relatively fine with the amount of traffic that was on it. Now think about today and how that's a completely different story. Right now, the technology that we have is unparalleled. I can check to see if my garage door is open, and if it is, I can close it from anywhere in the world, as long as I have an internet connection. If someone were to come to my front door, I can be notified on my phone, and if it's someone I know, say for example, they're watching my pet for me while I'm away, I can even unlock the door for them and let them in. My refrigerator can give me a glimpse of what's inside without even opening the door. And using a simple voice command, I can have Alexa dim the lights, turn on my smart TV, and start playing my favorite TV show at my preferred volume. So does this sound familiar to you? Are all or some of these things technologies that you've either heard of or are using already in your personal life? Well, guess what? Whether you realize it or not, you are already part of the Internet of Things. I'd like you to take note of this bubble for a second. This bubble represents 1 billion, with a B, network connected devices. So, keeping this in mind, as of late 2017, there were somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 billion devices on our networks globally. You can think about that as, phones, laptops, your smart TVs, Rokus, Amazon Alexas, Google Homes, all of these things. These are already on the network, and that's 15 billion devices in late 2017. To put that another way, that's 2 devices for every person on Earth. It's quite a lot. So 15 billion in 2017. By 2020, which is just under 2 years away from now, it's estimated that there will be up to 200 billion devices on our networks. Anything that you can think of that's not a network connected sensor now could and will become a network connected sensor. So think about road signs, chairs, doors, refrigerators, doorbells, etc. The number itself is not going to slow down. It's just going to keep growing, and it's going to grow at an exponential rate. And by the year 2025, which is barely 7 years from now, who knows how many devices will be out there on our networks. So what I'm getting at here is that, sure, you might be fine now, but for how long? The IoT Storm is just around the corner, and it's not slowing down. So what I'd like to do now is talk about some solution examples from a high level. In our first example, we're going to talk about smart buildings. But just to see how much everyone is paying attention, I'm going to ask a small trivia question. If anyone can identify this building, I would like for you to please post in the comments, and I will reveal the answer at the end. I'll give you one small hint. It is a museum of some sort. So in our smart building example, we're going to talk about a few systems that your buildings have now, but are either not connected to the network or are disconnected from each other. We'll combine 3 of these systems, but you could add many more to the list. For the example, we're going to combine the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning system, otherwise known as HVAC, your lighting system, and your window coverings. In the smart building, you would have various sensors throughout, including ambient light sensors and temperature sensors, both inside and outside of your building. The system would be smart enough to know that on a very cold day in February, if it's extremely sunny outside, that it would be beneficial to open up the blinds and let the natural light in and therefore radiant heat into the building. Light sensors on the inside of the building would tell the LED light fixtures to dim down to save power, and temperature sensors from the HVAC system would tell the system to work more efficiently. What this means for you is that you would reduce your energy consumption and therefore lower your energy bills. You would also have a better interior comfort, more efficient light usage, and an overall gain in building efficiency. Not to mention that you would have network control of all of these systems at your fingertips if needed. In our next example, I want to talk to you about a smart hospital or long-term care facility utilizing patient tracking for memory care patients or newborns. In the scenario, the patient would have a smart tag, such as a Bluetooth low energy bracelet that they could wear while they're in the facility. This smart tag would talk to location sensors as well as an alerting system. If the patient were to go towards an area that would be considered out of bounds while not in the presence of hospital staff, they could be discreetly notified via multiple avenues such as a smartphone app, a desktop app, phone call, etc. The staff could then immediately respond to the situation as needed. And think about an even more secure area than, say, a memory care wing, which it's kind of hard to think that what else could be more secure, but what about the newborn area of a hospital? The newborns could have similar bracelets, albeit a bit smaller, and those bracelets, if they were to trigger one of the location sensors, not only would the nursing staff be aware, but also building security could be brought in as well, as that's a very sensitive area in your building. What this means is that you'll have a quicker response for vital security issues. You'll also have a better awareness of patient location for patients who might not be able to remember where exactly that they are. And in the end, this leads to an overall patient safety increased. Now, for our next example, we're going to move towards education. Does this scene look familiar to you? How inefficient or inaccurate is this? There's got to be a better way to take attendance and even account for the students that are in our schools and our colleges. Well, in fact, there is a better way. Right now, students have a myriad of different ways and different devices that they carry with them that could aid in location awareness. Things like Chromebooks, laptops, cell phones, smartwatches, etc. All of these devices have the ability to connect to the school's network and therefore have approximate triangulation capabilities. If we were to combine this location awareness with building sensors and room sensors as sophisticated tracking software, it could be used for attendance tracking as well as school safety. Teachers in the classes would no longer need to waste time at the beginning of each class to take roll, as the system would do it for them and inform them whether their students are present, not there but excused, or just not there at all. In addition, in the event of an emergency, school administrators would know exactly where their students are and be able to account for them. The unfortunate side of things is this means that any remake of the Ferris Bueller movie would have its plot killed instantly. Sorry about that. But on the plus side, teachers get to spend more time teaching, and they will also have an accurate and up-to-date automated student locations and attendance. One last IoT scenario that is somewhat unique to the educational institutions that I would like to talk about is IoT in itself could be used as a learning tool. I think this is a fun and cool concept that I'm thinking of here. With things like the Raspberry Pi and other programming-centric system on board computers can be used to engage students to participate in an IoT curriculum. So if you take those small programming-centric computers to make IoT devices, you can engage your students into help them develop IoT projects that could help solve problems around the school. This could then be put into a production environment or simply just be used for educating the student. For the student themselves, this could help develop a valuable skill set in the programming arena that can open up their imaginations. In turn, it can also open up the possibilities of scholarships as well as opening up doors professionally. So excuse me. So these examples that I've provided are just the tip of the iceberg as far as what's possible. In my opinion, one of the greatest aspects about this is that there is no need to wait to get started. Most of what would be needed to implement these solutions already exists, or if it does not, it will exist in only a matter of time. So what would some of the resources required for you to implement an IoT solution be? Well, for starters, having your team work with the Integral One team. We would brainstorm with you to discuss some of your long-term goals and generate some ideas on how we can make that happen. As these solutions are not off the shelf, they will definitely take some time and energy to come up with and complete. And while IoT may be a new practice to Integra One, as well as the rest of the industry, the groundwork is not. Since 1990, when Integra One was founded, we've been providing the region with a full spectrum of technology services geared towards a wide range of commercial, government, and educational entities. Our expertise in these areas is crucial to an IoT deployment. So that being said, how can we as Integra One truly help you? The technology services that we already offer are an important first step in the groundwork to implement a successful IoT deployment. You must make sure that the base is strong before you build out. We can analyze your wireless and wired networks with load and spectrum analysis to make sure that your infrastructure has the throughput required. Do you have enough coverage and capacity? We can verify that your wireless networks are covering the areas that you want to include. What about PoE switching? Many new sensors would require power over Ethernet, and you might not have the capacity. Let's help you build that out and plan for your deployment. Data center will also play a crucial role. We can help you build out your DCs and we can help you build out your DCs to have the computing power required. And last but not least is one of the most important factors, network security, network access, and guest access. Any strong IoT solution absolutely depends on having a strong and secure network. So in summary, you may be fine now, but you'll want to make sure that you're prepared because the IoT storm is coming. You can get started now, and we can help you with your ideas and your imagination to be your partner on your path to success. As I said in the beginning, the sky is the limit. Where you choose to go from here is up to you. And if you'd like if you'd like us to help you get there, please let us know so that we can schedule a follow-up meeting with you. So at this point, I would like to go over any questions that came up throughout the presentation. Before I go over the questions, the first thing I'm going to reveal was the answer to the question I had proposed earlier in the smart buildings example. The building that I had in the background was the Centre Pompidou in France, which is the National Museum of Modern Art, which is built in a high-tech design. I chose that building because it's a modern art building and also because of the high-tech architecture being very fitting to the smart buildings. One of the questions that came up here was that we are interested in campus wayfinding with some sort of a mobile app. Is that something that Integra could help us with? So yes, while I didn't discuss campus wayfinding directly in the presentation here, that is actually something that one of our IoT customers is doing right now on their campus. They have a fully interactive Aruba HP solution, which uses a mobile app on Android or iOS, and it allows their customers or users to get turn-by-turn directions around the campus. Things like if they are walking past a cafe, they can have a coupon be pushed to them through the app that says, half off sandwiches today or something like that. They can even, on the map, locate where the campus shuttle bus is. So if they are going to the bus stop, they can see approximately how long they're going to be waiting for one of those shuttle buses. So this is something that can be applied to not only a educational institution, but it can also be applied to healthcare, large campuses, senior living campuses, and as I already said, education. Next question that came in was, if we don't have IoT in our budget, how can we get started? So I would say starting off with the foundation would be a great place to start. Upgrading what you have now to budget for expansion, and then start coming up with some of the plans of what you want to do. You might not be able to get a full project through in this fiscal year budget cycle, but if you start planning it out and you can get it into your budget for a year or two down the line from now, you can always start doing the foundation first and getting the infrastructure upgraded, which that infrastructure should already be in your budget. So start thinking about upgrading your switches, upgrading your wireless infrastructure, upgrading your data center and network security. All of those foundation elements that I spoke about earlier that you want to make sure that you have a good base for. Get that equipment upgraded, get everything up to snuff so that it can be sufficient for the amount of devices that are going to be on your network. The next question that came in was in regards to funding, any types of grants available for these types of deployments. And yes, the answer is yes, there are many grants that are publicly available, federal and state, for the initiation of a lot of these IoT projects in smart campuses, green buildings, smart buildings. And there's companies like Cisco, and I believe HP does as well, that even offer dedicated personnel to help find these grants and assist in getting applied to them so that you can start on your IoT project. And the last question that came in here was talking about timetable. What kind of timetable would it take to implement one of these IoT solutions? So I'm going to start off by saying that that's kind of a tricky question because it really depends on what your project is. The timetable, if it's just upgrading your back end, that's a similar time frame to a normal IT project. But if it's coming up with an IoT solution that's all new, everything has to be developed, software has to be developed, coding has to be done, all that. That's going to take a significant amount of time, longer than your normal project because it's not off of the shelf components. Everything is custom and one-off at that point. If it's off the shelf, it can definitely go considerably quicker. But IoT projects in general just have a longer lead time than your normal project. And that being said, that's it with the question and answers. We do have one last bit of housekeeping that I would like to touch base on, and that is after the event, you will be getting a follow-up survey. And if you fill out that post-event survey, you will earn a $10 Starbucks gift card. And I know I can use a coffee right now. I have not had any coffee this morning yet. But if you go ahead and take that email, fill out that survey, you will get that gift card at the end. And with that, I would like to say thank you very much for attending the webinar this morning. We hope to be speaking with you soon. Thank you so much. Have a great day and have a great weekend.